In this video, we're going to focus on determining the IMAs for various pulleys. So we're going to go through fixed pulleys, movable pulleys, and a combination of those two that we call block and tackles. So finding IMA for pulleys are really simple. So make sure you can identify which is which.
So if we think about a pulley is essentially like a lever, kind of like the wheel and axle, and it is consisting of a wheel that has a groove in it, and you are using it to change either the magnitude or the direction of your force. So notice how I have 500 grams right here. I can pull down instead of pull up. Now the thing about pulleys is their IMA calculations are going to be a little bit different than what we've done before. So we're going to go through the fixed pulley, the movable pulley, and the block and tackle.
Let's first talk about the fixed pulley over here on the right side. Now, a fixed pulley, like the name suggests, is a pulley that is not moving. It is permanently affixed to maybe a ceiling or a vex piece, something like that. Now, a fixed pulley is special because it essentially acts like a first-class lever with an IMA of 1 because your effort force and your resistance force are acting the same distance away from what we're considering our fulcrum. So what that means is if I'm trying to lift this 10-pound object, I need to put 10 pounds of force to lift a 10-pound object. Now, that probably doesn't make that much sense. We're not getting any advantage out of the deal. However, sometimes it is advantageous for us to change the direction of the force. So for whatever reason, if it's more difficult to pull up to move that object, we can toss in a fixed pulley so that we can pull down and move the resistance force up. So that's a fixed pulley. Always an IMA of 1. Now, if we look at the movable pulley, notice how the string is affixed to a ceiling or an object, but the pulley itself can move. So if I were to pull on this rope, your entire pulley would move up as well. So the movable pulley acts similar to a second-class lever. And movable pulleys always has an IMA of 2. So if we're trying to lift that same 10-pound object, I only need to put 5 pounds of force into it. Now my distance is going to double. I have to pull that thing twice as far to move my resistance force, but it makes the force a lot easier. So notice how the hanging weight takes some of the force for us, which makes our IMA of 2. So fixed pulleys always IMA of 1, movable pulleys always IMA of 2. Now, you won't always see just a pure fixed pulley or a pure movable pulley. We can always have pulleys in combination, and this is what we call a block and tackle system. There's a lot of stuff on this page, but we're trying to use the ability to change the direction of the force, but also get some mechanical advantage out of the deal. So a block and tackle system is when a single rope or cable is threaded through our pulley system. So notice how it's one big rope that goes all the way through things. We've got 1, 2, 3 movable pulleys. We got 1 fixed pulley. That's a lot of stuff going on. However, for a block and tackle system, the IMA of that system is the number of supporting strands. So what that means is almost the string segments that we are not pulling on. So I'm going to ignore this one on the far right side because that's the one that we're pulling on that's not considered a supporting strand. So if I'm trying to figure out the IMA of the block and tackle system on the right side, I count 1 supporting strand right here, 2 supporting strands right here, 3 supporting strands right here, and 4 supporting strands over on the other side, which means we have an IMA of 4. And why that's useful is if we have ideal conditions, we can figure out how much force is required to lift a 600-pound bike. And of course, it's only going to be 150 pounds because if we have an IMA of 4, based on the number of supporting strands in red there, I only have to put 1/4 of the force in to lift that bike. Again, we have the trade-off of distance. I'm going to have to pull that 4 times as far, but it's going to be a whole heck of a lot easier to lift a bike with the IMA of 4. So a fixed pulley IMA of 1, movable pulley IMA of 2, and a block and tackle system, a combination pulley, the IMA is equal to the number of supporting strands, or the number of strands ignoring the one that you're pulling on.